Tech wreck. Time to get your tech wreck.
Tech wreck. Chicky.
Tech wreck. Time to get your tech wreck. All right, Sanjay, what tech wreck do you have for us today?
So this kind of pairs with my tech wreck of last week. This is the Cultural Atlas. And I kind of stumbled upon this. Yeah. And this is from Australia. Mm-hmm. And it's by the Special Broadcasting Service in Australia, which I think is some kind of TV station or something like that. But it's basically a cultural atlas of all the kinds of people that live in Australia. Mm-hmm. And it teaches you very briefly how to greet them and their religion and issues that might be happening in their country and all of these things. And honestly, I kind of love it.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, it applies to people that are here too. It doesn't mean just like, you know, you have, I don't know, Lebanese people in Australia. They're different from Lebanese people here in America.
Right.
But honestly, I'm looking at this thing and I'm like, why is this from Australia? Why don't we have this in the US where we have a shared cultural atlas that tells you about all of the people that make up America? Right?
Feels like landmines, man. Like that. I think that's why in America you don't have it, because it feels like that'd be a bunch of landmines.
I don't know. I mean, like you go in here and like, okay, I'm clicking on Egypt, like core concepts. Like we have this CIA World Fact Book. Like, why don't we have this? Like the do's and don'ts of how you treat people and etiquette and things like that. I mean, teach it. Like I was reading the one on Lebanon, and you know, like you hear people say Habibi, you know, and that translates to my love, and you use that for people that you are friends with or family as a affectionate way of calling them. Like that's kind of a nice thing to know if you didn't know that before, right?
Right.
Like if you have a Lebanese friend, you could call them that, and they would appreciate that, right?
Right.
And for us being the US, I don't mean that my tech wreck to be like a soapbox issue here, but us being this, we are like the melting pot of the world, right? Like, why don't we have this? Like, somebody should build this. Like, I don't know who. Maybe Sesame Street. Like, if Sesame Street did this, there would be no landmines.
Now we're talking.
It would be great.
That's the right author for this kind of a product. Sesame
Street.
That's it.
Let's send a letter into Sesame Street or somewhere like Big Bird, or I don't know who's in charge over there. Ernie.
I mean, Big Bird's the tallest, so
he is.
But by that same criteria, then you're in charge. Okay,
we're gonna get a letter into Big Bird, and we'll see what happens. But in the meantime, what do you have for us, Adam?
I'm going to recommend Handbrakes. If you need to convert like a media file from one type to another, or maybe you've got a video file and you need to try to make it a smaller file size for some reason, Handbrake is a really great media conversion tool for doing that. It's free, it's open source, and I've used it for a long time to do lots of different stuff, and it does a great job of just kind of converting one file to another. So if you're in that space and need to convert some files, Handbrake is the way to go. And if not, then you can completely and totally ignore my tech wreck.
And instead they can start writing letters to Sesame Street with us to get a cultural atlas built.
That's all I'm trying to say. All right, so Sanjay, how can our listeners find and connect with you?
They can find me on Twitter at Sanjay, that's Sanjay, or my website, sanjayparikh.com. What about you, Adam?
Find me on Twitter at AJ Walker. Find me on my website at adamjwalker.com. And make sure to check out Together Letters, which we neglected to mention earlier in this podcast, but togetherletters.com to stay connected with the groups that you care about in your life.